They said the stars were quiet, peaceful, eternal. They lied. From the moment I stepped onto the ISS Horizon Arc, I felt it. The silence wasn't peace, it was pressure. The kind that sits heavy in your lungs like the air itself is holding its breath. We were 6 souls orbiting nothing, stationed at the edge of Sol's reach to maintain the deep space relay. Our job was routine: monitor transmissions, calibrate the quantum beacons, and make sure the colonies heard Earth's voice. But that night the silence broke. It started as static, faint like background cosmic noise. I almost ignored it until I noticed the rhythm. Too regular to be random. I isolated the frequency, thinking it might be a reflection from Jupiter's magnetosphere, but the signal didn't match any known pattern. It wasn't bouncing. It was coming from beyond. I boosted the gain and the monitors flickered. The noise shifted, deepened like something was pushing back against our instruments. My earpiece buzzed and I heard it. A whisper, not in English, not in any language I knew, but my mind still understood. 4 words burned themselves into my brain. Do not answer. I froze. For a second I thought it was a glitch. Maybe a leftover neural echo from too many sleepless nights. But then the airlocks creaked, the lights dimmed, and the stars outside, those eternal indifferent points of light, flickered. Constellations twisted, as if the cosmos itself was shuddering. Commander Rhee called the crew to the observation deck. The others were already staring through the viewport, their faces pale against the black. Something vast moved out there, a shadow without shape. It wasn't a ship, not exactly. It was like the dark itself was folding inward. The instruments went wild. Gravity readings spiked, then flatlined. Radiation counters flickered between impossible values. Then everything stopped. Total stillness. The stars returned to normal as though nothing had happened. No one spoke for a long time. Then the commander broke the silence with a single order. No transmissions. Not until we know what that was. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard it again, faint, echoing in the back of my mind. That whisper. Do not answer. But I knew we already had, because something out there had noticed us, and the universe, for the first time in eons, had turned to listen. 3 days passed, but the silence felt heavier than ever. The relay array was dead. Fried circuits, burnt connectors, melted fiber cores. It was as if something had reached through the transmission line and touched the system from the inside. Commander Rhee had us working around the clock to rebuild it, but no one dared speak about the whisper. We tried to convince ourselves it was a solar flare, cosmic interference, anything but what we felt it truly was. A warning. On the 4th day, the static returned. It came without ceremony, soft, faint, pulsing like a heartbeat. I was alone in the comms room, surrounded by blinking monitors and the low hum of dying equipment. When I looked at the waveform, my stomach dropped. It wasn't random noise anymore. It had structure, rises, falls, repetitions. It was talking. I ran the signal through every linguistic and pattern recognition program we had. Nothing matched. Not binary, not quantum pulse code, not even encrypted burst language. Yet deep down, I could feel meaning bleeding through the sound, rage, patience. Something ancient. When I reported it to Commander Rhee, she stared at me with that practiced calm soldiers use when they're barely keeping it together. You think it's intelligent? She asked. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. We both knew. We were ordered to prepare the standard first contact transmission. Greetings, coordinates, proof of sentience, peaceful intent. It felt like protocol written for a dream, not reality. When the message was sent, the comms deck went dark. Every screen, every light, every interface blinked out for 7 seconds. Then one by one, systems powered back up, but the main AI core was gone. Its circuits were intact, but its data had been burned away. Dr. Koenig opened the casing to inspect the neural lattice. The smell of scorched carbon filled the air, and etched into the blackened surface was a pattern. Spirals and waves, repeating endlessly. The same rhythm as the signal. We thought that was the end of it. But later that night I looked out through the viewport. Something glimmered against the void, distant but vast. Not moving, watching. It wasn't a star, not a reflection, not debris. It was deliberate, alive. And in that moment the truth sank in like ice in my veins. We hadn't reached out to the stars had reached back. When the footage reached Earth, everything changed. The shaky transmission from the Horizon Arc, the static-ridden image of that colossal shape moving against the backdrop of stars. It spread across every network within hours. Governments denied it at first, called it a digital artifact, a lens flare, a hoax. But denial didn't last. The data was too precise, the readings too impossible to fake. Humanity had made contact, and whatever was out there wasn't friendly. The panic didn't come instantly. It arrived in waves. At first, people gathered in parks and rooftops, staring up at the sky like they could see it from there. Then came the fear. Markets crashed, borders closed, and entire religions rewrote themselves overnight. I watched it all from the horizon's live relay feed, feeling like a ghost haunting the distance between stars. Then something unexpected happened. Humanity stopped arguing. A transmission from Earth came through the day after the global blackout. The United Earth Assembly had been formed. Every flag, every nation, every corporation, aligned for the first time in history. The message was brief, but it carried weight. "This is not a call to surrender," said General Alvarez, head of the new coalition. "This is a call to stand." Factories that once built cars now forged starship armor. Civilian stations were converted into orbital shipyards. The lunar colonies became weapons depots. Humanity, fractured and tired after centuries of internal conflict, turned its gaze outward, united not by ideology, but by survival. We on the horizon received orders to remain silent, but vigilant. A new fleet was forming, the Titan Line. 12 dreadnoughts, each the size of a city, powered by quantum singularities. They were symbols as much as weapons, proof that humanity could match the void with its own fire. And then the signal came again. Clearer. Sharper. My console lit up with an encoded message. Translated automatically by the deep neural core on Earth. One word appeared on the screen. Submit. The room fell silent. Commander Ree looked at me, her voice barely a whisper. "What do we say back?" I typed slowly, my fingers trembling. The message we sent would echo across light years, across history itself. Only 2 words left my console, transmitted from human hands to alien ears. "We stand." They came without warning, tearing through the black like storms made of light and shadow. There was no fleet on any known trajectory, no detectable warp signature, no gravitational distortion until they were already here. The stars behind them bent and rippled, as if reality itself recoiled from their arrival. One moment Mars hung quiet and red against the void. The next, a dozen massive anomalies surrounded it, eclipsing the planet with walls of shifting darkness. Each of their ships moved like it was alive. The surfaces pulsed with patterns that resembled veins and neural tissue, glowing with a cold oceanic blue. Our long-range sensors tried to scan them, but the readings came back broken. Massless yet impossibly dense, existing and not existing all at once. They didn't hail. They didn't negotiate. They simply opened fire. The first blast struck the Titan Vanguard, vaporizing half its hull before anyone realized the engagement had begun. A ripple of energy cascaded through our comm systems, and suddenly the command channels were chaos. Static, screams, orders shouted into silence. I saw it all through the horizon's observation deck, our view shield polarized against the radiation bursts. Dreadnoughts that had taken years to build were reduced to molten trails of debris within minutes. And yet, humanity fought back. The remaining Titans adjusted formation, launching singularity warheads, black spheres that devoured everything they touched. One of them hit. A ripple spread across the alien formation, and for the first time the enemy ships faltered. When the light cleared, fragments of their vessels drifted apart, leaking radiant material that shimmered like liquid stars. Commander Ree whispered, "They can bleed." The tide turned, not with superiority but with desperation. Captain Liu of the Titan Hammerfall was the first to make the choice no one wanted to make. Her dreadnought had taken catastrophic damage, its singularity core unstable. She opened a channel to the fleet. Her voice was calm, steady. "For Earth," she said, and then her ship ignited the failing core manually. The explosion tore a hole through the alien formation. Space folded. Time warped, and the shockwave carried all the way to our sensors on the horizon. For a moment, every monitor flashed white, and when the light faded, we saw it clearly. Their ships weren't built. They were grown. living creatures, breathing, thinking, dying. And somehow, I knew this was only the beginning. We brought the fragments aboard against every protocol in existence. The scientists argued it was too dangerous, the soldiers insisted it was necessary. In the end, curiosity won, as it always does with humans. We wanted to know what we were fighting. The debris from the destroyed alien vessel wasn't metal or stone, it was organic. Its surface rippled when touched, reacting to warmth, to breath, to thought. It wasn't dead. It was sleeping. Dr. Koenig and his research team isolated a piece no larger than a fist and placed it in containment. Within hours, it began to grow. Microscopic fibers reached out like roots, searching, connecting to any electronic pulse nearby. It consumed energy, then light, and then it spoke. Not through sound, but through the ship's systems. The words formed across screens, faint and flickering. I am Vareth. It called itself one of the wardens, a guardian of order, a keeper of cosmic balance. Through fragmented data and psychic bleed from the neural interface, I began to see flashes of its world, beings of radiant form maintaining the fabric of galaxies, pruning civilizations before they could disrupt the equilibrium. It showed us what it had seen. Empires born, evolved, and erased, all in the name of stability. And now it said it was our turn. You are noise, it told me. Chaos that spreads faster than entropy. You consume, destroy, and adapt beyond control. I asked why that frightened them. Why would gods fear something like us? Because you cannot be contained, Vareth replied. You are the anomaly that multiplies. Evolution made flesh. Commander Ree wanted it destroyed, but I couldn't do it. Every instinct told me that killing it would only confirm its belief about us. Yet keeping it alive meant letting something that had once judged entire species stay among us. As hours passed, Vareth weakened. Its light dimmed, its form decaying in the containment field. Before it faded completely, it reached out through the neural link one last time. I saw stars collapsing, civilization screaming, and then a single image of Earth burning like a candle against the endless dark. They will come, it whispered in my mind. Not for conquest, for correction. And just like that, the light went out, but the damage was done. The infection had already begun, not in the ship, but in us. It began with the dreams. Everyone aboard the Horizon started having them. Visions of impossible landscapes, oceans made of glass, cities suspended upside down over storms of light. Some woke screaming, others wept without knowing why. The neural scans showed identical brainwave patterns, synchronized as if all 6 of us were sharing the same mind while asleep. Dr. Koenig was the first to realize the truth. Vareth hadn't died. It had moved in. Fragments of its consciousness lingered in our systems, in our thoughts, in the ship's very circuits. The Horizon was no longer just a vessel, it was a bridge. Through that link, we began to understand the Warden's dimension, a place where time folded and existence operated like a song written in light and gravity. Their realm wasn't a different location. It was the space between spaces. Earth Command made a decision that would define the rest of human history. They would take the fight there. To do it, they would use Vareth's lingering code as a key, mapping the alien dimension through our corrupted systems. It was madness, but madness was all we had left. The Horizon was selected to lead the incursion. Commander Ree didn't hesitate. If they want balance, she said, we'll show them what chaos can do. The jump tore reality apart. Space twisted inward, every molecule of my body stretched and crushed simultaneously. Then suddenly, we were through. The alien dimension was alive. Vast shapes drifted across the horizonless expanse, structures of light that pulsed like organs in a living cosmos. The fleet followed us, hundreds of human ships shimmering like sparks against a god's bloodstream. The Wardens met us there, not as ships this time, but as colossal entities made of thought and geometry. They spoke directly into our minds, their voices resonating like the sound of creation itself. You bring noise to the infinite, they said. You will end all things, but humanity didn't come to beg. We came to speak back. Using the same network that linked us to Vareth, we uploaded the entirety of human existence. Our music, our history, our wars, our laughter, our love. Billions of years of chaos and beauty compressed into one pulse of data. The Wardens convulsed. Their realm rippled, fracturing under the weight of everything we were. The infinite screamed, and for the first time, the gods bled light. 10 years have passed since the war ended, though no one can say exactly how it ended. The records blur at the moment of collapse. Every ship that crossed into the Warden dimension vanished from the sensors at the same instant. Some reappeared weeks later, drifting near Jupiter with their hulls scarred by radiation burns no human science could explain. Others never returned. The Horizon was among the ones that did, though we were never the same again. When we emerged back into real space, the stars looked different. Not in position or color, but in feeling. The crew described it the same way I did. The universe felt awake. The silence that had haunted space since we first launched our beacons was gone. The void hummed faintly, a background resonance like a heartbeat echoing through infinity. I sometimes wonder if it's the Wardens still out there watching or if the sound is us. Our presence carved so deep into reality that even the cosmos remembers. Earth rebuilt slowly. The Titan line was gone, most of its ships reduced to wreckage orbiting Mars like a graveyard of steel and light. Yet out of the ashes came unity that no treaty or threat had ever achieved. Nations no longer built borders. They built observatories. Every child on Earth learned the story of the day humanity stood against the gods and survived. But not all wounds heal clean. Those who returned from the Warden realm, like me, carry fragments of something we don't fully understand. Sometimes I dream of light that sings or of stars folding like wings. Sometimes I hear voices whispering at the edge of sleep, not hostile, not angry. Curious, watching, waiting. Commander Reed disappeared a year after our return. Some say she joined a deep space expedition beyond Neptune, searching for signs of lingering Warden structures. Others believe she never truly came back. That part of her mind still lives inside that other dimension. I don't know which truth I prefer. Now, when I stand beneath the night sky, I can feel them. The stars trembling softly, like living things remembering an old wound. They do not flicker from fear anymore, but from respect. We had faced beings older than galaxies, and we did not kneel. We stood. We fought. We endured, and the stars will never forget the day we made them tremble.